Hey guys, it's happening again. I'm going away this weekend. It's 2 days to go and I need a dress. I'm feeling a little bit ridiculous at this point. You might think I'm just making this up, but I'm not. I'm going on a hen party. I need a black dress and I don't have a black dress that fits the occasion. We're going out for dinner Friday night. The bride's gonna wear white. Everybody else is gonna wear black. We're going somewhere south, somewhere where it's warmer than here. So I think this is the perfect opportunity to make a really nice black simple summer dress. By simple I mean I'm gonna repurpose some pattern pieces that I already own. No need to draft a new pattern here. Also, something that I am extremely excited about is the fabric that I'm gonna work with. If you've been around for a while, you might have seen this before. It is precious, it was expensive, it is by a very big brand that a lot of people in the sewing community know. It's Liberty London Fabrics. I bought this breathtaking, if I may say so, black floral silk there in January when they had their sample sale, and this is my fabric of choice today. It's time she's becoming something that I can wear this season. I have 3 meters of this. I am very unlikely going to use all of it because the dress I'm making is going to be very, very simple. You might recognize the silhouette. It is a very, very popular Reformation silhouette, and it's this dress. A lot of people have worn this. I'm sure you've seen this before. It's just very popular. What I like about this is how simple it is. What I don't like about it is the fit, because I actually tried that dress in a Reformation store here in London. Something that is always an issue for me is that I have specific proportions. I am very tall. I'm 180 centimeters tall, which is about like 5'11" or something. It's this in feet. And that means that my proportions are just different. I have long legs, I have a bigger bum, for example, than most people would have, just because that's how it is. I have a quite small waist and small boobs. So the top for that dress was too voluminous for me. I could only really feel it when I was like taking a deep breath that I was holding up. It didn't have any darts either, which was interesting to me. And the skirt was just a little too tight, which just got out all of the wrong things for me specifically. It just didn't look that great. But I think with a few tweaks, this design could look good on me, and this design could look good on anybody really, if it's well fitted. What I'm gonna do is I'll repurpose this bodice piece here that I have made just a couple weeks ago when I was in another sewing frenzy. I made this for the lemon sun dress that a lot of you loved. So I'm gonna reuse this bodice. I think this is gonna really emulate the look of the original Reformation dress, and this back piece right here. And I am also going to repurpose my Ophelia A-line skirt. This one is obviously a mini skirt. I'm gonna extend this to make it the length that I want, which is a midi length. The skirt is gonna have a slit in the center back so I can move, and that is that. I'm gonna line the dress. Of course I will. I always line my stuff. I have 24 hours to make it happen, so let's go cut the pieces. I just cut all of my pieces and I still have so much fabric left. I think I needed about 1.5 meters now for this. That's a very, very sustainable amount of fabric, so I can make a whole nother dress from this. I love it. I just had dinner. It is now 7:30. It's actually time to wind down, but I cannot do that because I only have 24 hours to make this dress. I've just cut all of my pieces, so my goal for tonight, which really I only want to do 45 minutes because then I'm probably too tired. I'm gonna assemble my lining first, and then I'm gonna sew all of the darts and my shell pieces and join the back skirt. Let's go. Lining is sewn together. I just gave it a try. I'm absolutely wiped now, so I'm gonna call it quits. This was very fast. This took me about 30 minutes because I made a mistake. So I'm hoping that I can also assemble the shell tomorrow morning in about 30 minutes. And then really the brunt of the work is all of the finishing things like zips, straps, hem, all that kind of stuff. Actually, fun tip, if you make something and are just too lazy to make a mock-up like me right now, it is a good idea to cut all of your pieces in your lining first. That is, of course, if you decide to line your dress, but that's also a good excuse to line your dress because this way you can inexpensively make it perfect and still use what you made as a lining for the eventual dress. So the shell will be perfect with all of the learnings that you have from making the shell. I hope that made sense somehow. I don't know if it did. Anyway, see you in a few seconds, which is tomorrow morning for me. Okay, so the first thing I'll do is I will grab my front bodice piece, which looks like this. I'll fold it again in half so that the center front is on a fold. This is the way I cut it. And then I'm placing my really worthy pattern piece on here once again. And this is so that I can find the shape of my curved dart here. I'm grabbing a erasable gel pen, and then I'm gonna try and see if I can mark the outlines of my dart onto my silk. This is gonna make it easier for me to really get a symmetrical, beautiful, even dart once I've sewn it in. And now I need to do the same thing on the other side, so I'll try to be as smooth as possible when turning it around. Now that I've marked these points, it's going to be much easier for me to create a nice clean finish for my darts. For sewing silk, I'm choosing these sharp machine needles. I'm going to choose the finest one that I have, which is 60. All right, all the darts are in the skirt pieces. So now I can actually place the two sides of the back skirt right sides touching like this. And then I can close the center back seam. The thing that I need to consider with the center back is that I'm gonna have a slit in the back, so I can walk with this skirt that is a little bit more narrow than usually my skirts are. So I need to suss out how much I want it to be open in the back. So I just held it against my body. I'm gonna leave about 47 centimeters open, and that is because I will have to finish this back side with a rolling hem as I will do the actual hem. So now I also need to suss out where the end of my zipper is gonna be. Usually for a comfortable fit so you can step into the dress, it's about 30 centimeters. So this is about where I will change my stitch length. So this is going to be a stitch length of 5, so I can press it but then open it back up again. Between these two pins, I'm gonna use an actual stitch length of 2.5 or 3. So starting out with 5, and now from this blue clip, I'm gonna lock, change my stitch length. I'm gonna do 3. And then sew the rest with this smaller stitch length. Okay, so the back skirt now looks like this. It has a slit in the back, everything's closed. I'm now gonna place the front and the back of the skirt right sides touching, and I'm gonna sew the side seams. And then I can open the section of the center back seam that's gonna hold the zip back up. Alrighty, skirt is perfecto. Fits really well. It is fitted, but there's still wiggle room for me. Once the side seams are properly pressed, they're gonna look really nice. And there is the slit in the back, which the original dress has as well. So that means I can now join the top of the shell with the skirt. Okay, so before I can join the top and the skirt, I will need to place back in front of my bodice right sides touching so I can sew the side seams together. Alright, so we are now at a point where we can think about joining the lining with the shell, and before we can do that we need to create some straps. For this I cut this tiny little strip of fabric that I'm now going to turn into spaghetti straps. I leave it continuous for now because I'm going to sew it first and then cut it in half to get 2 straps. So really all you do is you fold this in half and then sew 1/2 centimeter from the edge to create a 1/2 centimeter spaghetti strap. This is going to be tiny, and then I'm going to show you how to turn it around. Okay, so now that the strap is sewn, what you need is a relatively strong handheld needle with a double piece of thread in it. I'm gonna wrap up the end a couple of times to create a knot. And now I grab my strap and insert the needle into the seam allowance a couple of times. And then I go into the strap eye first, like this. And hopefully with silk, this will work like a charm, even though the strap is so narrow. So you can see it crunching up now. And then when I pull on it, a little tidbit that I do remember learning in fashion school and that comes back to me now. When you work with real silk, you can tell that it's real silk by the noises it makes. All of these like little squeaky noises tell you that it's real silk. In school we called this the silk scream, which sounds really awful. But there it is. There we go. It is turned around. This is definitely easier with satin. Okay, now that the strap is done, I'm simply folding it in half and I'm gonna cut it here. So I have two. We can grab our shell and our lining. And now the magic happens. We need to place the lining right sides touching with the shell. And to make it easier for ourselves, we grab the shell skirt and put it through the lining skirt like this. And now we can start to line up. You know the drill. When you line something, it always needs to be right sides touching. Start with important points like the side seams and then do everything else from there. I am actually using this color lining in case you're wondering because I had it, A, and B, the inside of the dress is actually not really black. It's kind of like whitish. It has a white film on it because it's the wrong side of the fabric. So I figured I might just as well use this lighter color to line the dress. I'm not too fussed. Nobody's gonna see it. This is also a very nice quality lining that I've used before. It's super breathable. You can actually not really feel it when you wear the final piece. Okay, so now that the neckline is pinned together, we can grab our straps and have a think about where we want them to be placed in the front. Now I'm thinking I'm probably gonna place the straps pretty much above where my darts end. I think that's a good spot, maybe a little bit to the left of it. Now, what I need to consider is that I need to place the strap in between the lining and the shell facing downwards. The first one I can just place a little bit freestyle, same spiel. This time around I might want to measure exactly the distance between the side seam of my first strap and where the strap hits, so it's 8 centimeters from the side seam, and I'm gonna do the same thing here. In the back, we can also immediately determine where we want our straps to hit eventually, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sew this part, skip a centimeter, and then continue sewing so I can fill my strap into the back at a later point and still have a nice and clean finish. All right, we have something looking like this now, very neat and clean. And I'm gonna try this on now to suss out how long I need the straps to be. Okay, this was really hard to do. So basically what I did is I tried on the dress, I clipped it closed in the back, and then I only marked the length of the strap on one of the two. So I'm gonna transfer that to the other side. I also need to shorten it about by 1 inch, because that's what I figured when I saw it in the back. After everything is gonna be fitted, I think this is how long the straps need to be. We are almost done. We just need to insert the zipper. Almost the last step is to insert the zipper. I'm gonna start out by placing it right sides touching with one of the sides of my dress, and I'm gonna pin it down. Now that the first side is pinned down, I'm gonna go ahead and give this a stitch. So once it's basted in on one side, I'm gonna go ahead, grab my chalk, and I'm gonna mark where the waist seam hits. So I'm gonna try now to align that marking with the waist seam on the other side. This way I can make sure that everything matches up eventually. All right, so now that the zipper is basted in, we're almost there, but as you can see, it's still very visible. So ideally you would have a zipper foot, as I do have here, that fits your machine. Mine does not fit my machine. I ordered this on Amazon for £2. I looked for a Brother invisible zipper foot. This is what came up, and it's not fitting, of course. So there are two ways to go about this. Either I go ahead and do it by hand, or I try to do it on my machine. And today, because I'm in a time crunch, I'm gonna try to do it on my machine. So I'm gonna just put this in, try to open the teeth of the zipper up and sew as close to them as possible. Okay, that worked like a charm on that side. Let's do the same thing on the other side.
I don't need this no more. I don't need to stay, finna walk out that door. My mistake, giving you love galore. Hope you find someone that can really adore you. Don't worry, I ain't keeping grudge. Cause I'm doing better, life cannot be more golden. But honestly I won't lie, sometimes I ask why I can't get you out my head, now hard to forget that I
really need to cut you off. You're always trying to lead me on. You're making all these promises and you'd always quit. You're just another hypocrite. Now I'm can't ner 후회해. Now you thought that I would always stay, but you thought I'd be yours and she got my mind no but. Someone tell me